Artui, how are you? Little tin can? What do you got there? A little late for Halloween, isn't it? Just in time for Thanksgiving, though. What does C-3PO do? That doesn't sound like him. He's too prissy for that. You left the oil bath on. That's really dangerous. It's like leaving the fry cooker on. You could burn the whole house like that. Alright, I'll let him know you're angry with him. I gotta go. At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge. Hey everybody, we got a special show for you today. We're going to be talking about Star Wars. The Phantom Menace. We're going to talk about all the Star Wars.
From episode 1 to episode 7.
Yes. We're excluding Rogue One, but that's okay.
Because it's not an episode.
So I was 6 when this movie came out. And this was my 3rd movie in the theater ever, and my first live action movie ever. So I consider this to be my first movie ever in the theater. So I'll always have a special spot for it. And I was also we were also the target audience, honestly. Like, George Lucas was making this film with us in mind. And so, for me, I can speak for myself for sure. The prequels are my childhood. I'm getting the same with you, right?
Yep. I didn't see the first one in theaters, but I did see episode 2 in theaters. That doesn't make the first one any less special than the second one, to me, as far as nostalgia goes. Mm-hmm. But I grew up with the prequels, just like how older generations grew up with the original trilogy. And so it is special to me.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons, actually, because I actually like Phantom Menace. And out of all of the prequels, it's my favorite.
Oh, great.
Which is so weird, because compared to everybody else who's a Star Wars fan, everybody hates this one.
Yeah.
I have some strong feelings about it, so...
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. So, my first, there's a lot of firsts in 1999 for me. So I was 6. It was the first time I got into my adoptive family that I have now. So it was a very special time for me in my life with Star Wars and being in my family that I have now. Also, my very first haircut was in 1999. And so that's probably why I've always been a long-haired guy, because I've always felt comfortable with it.
It was your first and last haircut.
Yeah, first and last haircut. And yeah, exactly. And so I remember going to the barber and getting my haircut for the first time and wanting the Obi-Wan braid. I thought that was the coolest hair. And still, I think it's probably, as of all the Star Wars hairdos, Obi-Wan from Phantom Menace is probably my favorite hairdo, with the back ponytail and the braid. That was so cool, and I wanted that, but at the time, my parents, they were new at being parents. They were throwing a 6-year-old, so they were kind of no, we don't want to do that. But now they would probably be chill enough to do it now. And so when I later relived that dream in high school, I got to do it myself, and I actually had the Jedi braid in the ponytail, and we'll probably whip up a picture and show you guys as I'm talking about it. And that was my high school hairdo, was from junior to senior year, was a Jedi ponytail with the back ponytail. And yeah, I rocked that look. I miss it sometimes. Now I feel like, okay, I graduated to a knight, so I got long hair now. Long hair and a beard like Obi-Wan. But I remember Star Wars Phantom Menace influenced my hair. And then, what was it? Anakin from episode 3 influenced my hair now. So I feel like Star Wars is always, especially the prequels, has influenced so much. And look what I'm wearing. Look, prequel Jedi costume.
It's one of the coolest costumes.
Yeah.
Let's jump into the movie here, because, and we're going to start with the costumes. The costumes in this movie were so elaborate. They were just so new, so fresh, and something different that just hasn't really been done before. And it was really cool to see that.
One of the strengths, I actually have a whole book on Star Wars costumes, those big DK novels. Most of it is from the prequels, and it's almost like it's controversial to say, 4, 5, and 6, and even 7 is almost embarrassing compared to prequel wardrobe. There was so much thought behind it. I remember even Carrie Fisher roasted George Lucas one of her roasts was her saying, "Look, Princess Armadillo or whatever her name was, who played my mom, she got, like, every time she walked through the door, she had new fashion and stuff." And she was jealous of the fashion, too, of it. And, I mean, Leia's, like, face paint, Darth Maul's great costume, the Jedi's, like, everything was perfect.
It does make sense, though, because the Empire had already started, the war was whatever, so progression, like technology and everything just kind of stopped. Mm-hmm. And so it does kind of make sense that their fashion would have kind of that ceasing as well.
If you look at it at history, the Civil War. Okay, like, so they call it the Civil War in 4, 5, and 6. That's what happened with the Empire, and then our Civil War in America in the 1800s. The Renaissance was right before that, 16th century, 17th century. Their costumes were all elaborate and stuff. And then you go into, like, the Western era, 1800s. You think it would be better, but it actually got crappy, kind of like in Star Wars.
Yep.
Because it was in a war period. It wasn't much time for, like, the Victorian age and Renaissance is what they say. So Star Wars is in its own Renaissance period with 1, 2, and 3. That's why everything
is so elaborate.
Compare the ships, too. Like, the beautiful silver Naboo cruiser versus Millennium Falcon. Just, like, you just compare the ships and it just tells you everything about it.
It shows the depth of the Star Wars universe for sure. And that's one of the reasons why I like this movie over the rest of the ones in the prequels, is because it is new and it shows you so many new things and expands the Star Wars universe. It says, hey, look, this is some of the history of Star Wars. It's not just about Luke. It's also about Padme. It's about Anakin. It's about Obi-Wan Kenobi, qui-gon-jinn. And you see all this history, not just in characters, not just in wardrobe, but
about
in, like,
Jar Jar Binks.
I don't like Jar Jar Binks. Even though I like that movie the most, I don't like Jar Jar Binks. I wish they would have had him in it, either not at all or way less.
The great thing about Jar Jar is that his species is pretty cool. Let's not, like, I think Gungans are awesome, and I think they do have their place in Star Wars. They're very unique. Yeah. They were, like, our first amphibian race that we got introduced to in Star Wars. Well, I mean, okay, let me take that back. Technically, the Mon Calamarian, Aldemir Akbar, is he's also an amphibian, and they live in the water as well, but we didn't get to see that in episode 6. But we get to see them, the Gungans, in their natural. I thought that was so cool, like, just them breathing, and then the Jedi's breather thing and stuff. Jar Jar, yeah.
The addition of CGI. This movie revolutionized CGI. It brought CGI, like, really into movies, into a whole new way, and has very much influenced the way that we use CGI today. That's another reason why I like it. And the whole Gungan city was so cool, and I like Gungans. They have some pretty cool. I'd like to know a little bit more about them, and figure out more of their history.
Spend some time with them.
Yeah, that would be cool. You know.
So Jar Jar, despite all his faults and all that, he is the first fully CGI character that was a living, like, that was a main character. You know, what I mean by that is has lines. Before that, we had Terminator 2, and he turned into a silver man, and then he turned back to the real actor. And then also we have Dragonheart and Jurassic Park, but those were just creatures, and they weren't in it as much as Jar Jar is in the Phantom Menace. He's he's there, he's a character, he talks, he interacts with the other characters. This was the first time, so it's I actually saw an article recently on Ahmed Best, the actor who played Jar Jar, saying, can you please give me my spot in CGI history, motion capture history, where he's like, I was there before Schmeagol, and Schmeagol seems to get all the credit these days. And I was like, oh, poor guy. I didn't even look at it like that. And I was like, you're right, either. Dude. Like, you were the first guy.
I feel bad.
Yeah.
Now he's there. I feel really
please
bad.
help me in my.
Everybody hates Jar Jar too, which is not much of a.
That doesn't help.
No, that doesn't help at all. Wow, that sucks.
Isn't that weird to think about? It's like, wait a minute. Yeah, you're actually before Schmeagol.
I never thought. Well, they're so close, so it's like it's kind of hard to remember that sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, he's got him by 2 years, so like 1999, and then 2000. Well, no, he's got him by like 3, because in 2001, Schmeagol was in Fellowship a little bit, But really, he was his own character in 2.
That's true.
So, dang, 2002. So, 1999. He's got him
He
like
does
3
have a
years.
beard a little bit, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Dang, wow. Yeah, everybody looks at the other guy, mostly.
Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
And he's got all the jobs. He does all the motion capture.
He does so much. He does so, like, that's his career, is motion
Sorry,
capture.
Ahmed Best.
We're sorry.
You're great. Ahmed Best.
We appreciate you as a
the
person,
best.
and as an actor, and as a CGI actor.
Yeah. Motion capture.
I just don't like your character.
Artist. Ahmed Best, you're the best. Thank you.
That's funny. That's good.
Oh man. Duel of Fates. Da, 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 da,
The
da.
lightsaber battles got so much better in this.
Second greatest lightsaber battle ever for me. I don't know. Where does it rank for you?
It's probably up there in the top 5 at least. I don't know if I can really give it a spot because I still like Princess Bride as my number one. Not lightsaber battle. Oh, wait, did you say lightsaber battle or sword fight?
Yeah.
Lightsaber battle.
Yeah.
I think
second favorite out of all.
I think it'd be also my second favorite. I do like the lightsaber battle in episode 3.
Yeah, that's
my first.
Battle of Heroes.
I think it's probably my first
favorite.
Yeah,
of course, but because it's Battle of Brothers, it should be called Battle of the Brothers or something. That and it was more heartbreaking. But Phantom Menace, like the coolest adversary, Darth Maul, of course, he's my favorite Star Wars Sith. Yes, okay. There's only one place that has Sith. My favorite Sith. And my favorite Star Wars bad guy ever. He beats Darth Vader for me.
I wish he was in it more.
Yeah.
I wish he would have had more lines. I wish they would have focused on him more, which is kind of funny because one of the reasons I like this movie over all of the other prequels is because of the storytelling. The visual storytelling is a lot better in this one than it is in episode 2 and especially episode 3. It tells the story better. You kind of know what's going on. And I'll get to more of why it's about... Well, no, I don't like episode 3 because it kind of goes too fast, but it doesn't feel very fast. Like a whole chunk of time moves, and it doesn't feel like a whole chunk of time goes by. But in this one, a whole chunk of time doesn't go by. You follow the characters kind of in real time, sort of. Only like a couple days maybe goes by, and that's it. So, I mean, maybe a little bit more when they're traveling in space, but like a week. Let's just say like a week. Maybe a week. This is like the movie takes place in like a week. If that. And so it tells the story a lot better and you get a sense of what's going on better.
Darth Maul from literally head to toe is my favorite. Like his horns, they had so much. Darth Vader's such a hard act to follow, and Darth Vader casts a huge shadow on all the villains in Star Wars. Darth Maul did okay. He did a good job for what he had, and for such little screen time too. I remember the first time we see Darth Maul is when Darth Sidious is like alone talking to him, sitting at the table, saying, "Oh, you lost my ship, blah blah blah," and the guy's like, "Oh, he's too hard to find." He's like, "Not for a Sith," and then Darth Maul comes out of nowhere and folds his arm. Da-dum, this is my apprentice, Darth Maul. He will find your missing ship. And then he's just like, dun, dun. I thought that was so cool. Such a cool entrance to a character. It was different than Darth Vader coming in episode 4. That's still a great entrance too. Probably one of the greatest entrances in cinema history, of course. And then when we go around with Kylo, we'll talk about more of that later. But his entrance was like, you just copied Darth Vader. Okay, cool. But Darth Maul's was cooler, like coming into the hologram, and he seems so much bigger than Darth Sidious because Darth Sidious was sitting down, but he was very imposing.
I remember when I first watched that, I thought he was just like massively tall.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize that Darth Sidious was sitting down, and so later when he was fighting, qui-gon-jinn, I was expecting him to be like a lot taller. I was like, oh wait, he's just kind of normalish height.
It's tough because Qui-Gon Jinn, Liam Neeson's like he's 6'4".
Yeah.
So he was towering over everyone in that movie. But man, Qui-Gon Jinn, another character exclusive to Phantom Menace. He's a maverick. He's a rebel. He could have had a spot in the council, but he said no.
He's the closest to a gray Jedi that we get in the movies. And I think that's probably why he's one of my favorite Jedi. Maybe my favorite Jedi. I don't know, he kind of shares a spotlight with Obi-Wan Kenobi a little bit sometimes, just because he's so cool, but he's only in it for so long that Obi-Wan's in it for so much longer that you can kind of really enjoy Obi-Wan for a little bit, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I really like Qui-gon-Jinn, and I'm so thankful that they got Liam Neeson to play Qui-gon-Jinn. He does it so well. I just feel like that's his role.
This was pre-action Liam Neeson too. This was Academy Award winning Liam Neeson, like getting off the Schindler's List fame, and so this was very different for his role. So I felt like Star Wars is like kind of gave him a little taste of being in an action movie, and then he's like, now he's a bona fide action star. But that was his first taste of action. Well, I mean, no, let me take that back. No, Rob Roy. That's a mouthful. He was in that before, and that was it. He had swords in that as well. So those two movies were pretty close, and then the releases, and so he had some training with Rob Roy, being a Highlander and wielding a big Scottish sword, and so he just transferred that into Qui-gon-Jinn. Let's just say that just reminds me, the special features on the prequels are probably some of the best special features I've ever seen in any movie. And I remember that's another fond memory I have with Phantom Menace, is not only watching the movie but watching the second disc and watching the special features. I would watch the lightsaber trainings over and over just so I could get my movements down, and that's how I've been able to kind of teach myself from the lightsaber training. I stole Yoda's lightsaber. That's why it's so small. Took this to Salt Lake Comic-Con. Shout out to Salt Lake Comic-Con. You guys are awesome.
I remember watching the special features. I'm not one who watches a lot of special features, but I will watch Star Wars special features. It's not like I don't like them. It's just I enjoy the movie usually a little better. And sometimes if I really like the movie, like Star Wars, I want to go see hey, how did they make this? Mm-hmm. And special features on Star Wars is, I agree, some of the best special features, if not the best special features on any movie that I've seen.
Definitely the special features I've watched the most.
Yeah.
I could say that too.
I could say that as well. Yeah. I can agree with that.
Oh man, Duel of Fates, the score, John Williams. Wow, John Williams. Did you think by then he would be a little run out with Star Wars? But no, he was almost like he was just getting started. So this is his fourth Star Wars score, and he did a great job. Just with all the prequels. I might get shot for saying this, but I think the prequels is probably the best Star Wars music John Williams has ever made and ever will make, because I'm a little disappointed with the Force Awakens score. It was still great. It was still awesome by movie standards, of course, but not compared to the prequels. No,
it wasn't as good as the prequels, and there's a lot of good aspects about the prequels that I think a lot of people overlook because they're so. Because all the good aspects are overshadowed by all the bad aspects most of the time. I don't know why, but this is just kind of how it works. There are a lot of good aspects: the score, the wardrobe, the special effects, the storytelling. At least in my opinion, the storytelling is a lot better in some of the prequels, at least this movie specifically, than even some of the. I don't even know if I want to say some of the originals. Some of those are better in this than in the originals.
So is this part of your spiel on why Phantom Menace is your favorite of all the prequels?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah.
I want to hear this.
Well,
don't let me slow you down.
I kind of already talked about it a little bit.
You did a bit? Okay.
The storytelling.
Yeah.
I got to go back to the storytelling. The storytelling is so much better in episode 1 than it is in episode 2 and 3.
Okay.
I do not like how in episode 3, with the beginning, Princess Padme. I almost said that. Padme is pregnant, and she's not quite showing. Maybe she's showing a little bit. So I mean, we can guess around 2 to 3 months, maybe. And by the end of the movie, she's full on pregnant. She's about to pop. She is so. I mean, 6 months minimum have gone by, but it doesn't feel like it at all. It feels more like a week has gone by. There's a huge chunk that has gone by, and
so that's how you gauged episode 3's timeline, was with her pregnancy.
With her pregnancy.
Oh wow!
I didn't think about this either until I watched it a couple months ago, and I finally noticed that, and I was like,
I always assumed it was bigger in the beginning. I'll have to pay attention.
It's not that big. She's maybe 3 months. I mean, I think at most 3 months pregnant.
Okay.
You might be able to argue for 4, but I really don't. That's pushing it. Especially if she's pregnant with twins.
That's crazy detailed, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if she's pregnant and she's full on like about to pop, 6 months. 6 months have passed, and it feels like maybe a week. So there's a whole time in there that Darth Sidious can be leaning Anakin even more into the dark side that we don't get to see. Mm-hmm. And I don't like that we don't get to see that, because it literally just kind of feels like boom, he's swapped. Mm-hmm. And I understand why he swapped. It is really an emotional time, and so he's maybe not thinking correctly. He doesn't want his wife to die and a bunch of other stuff like that, but it just feels so sudden, and it feels like they crammed so much, or tried to cram so much into what is it, like 2.5 hours, 2 hours, something like that? But I think it's about 2.5 hours, isn't it?
If I remember correctly, Phantom Menace, not Phantom Menace, Revenge of the Sith is the longest of all the Star Wars films.
It is. I think it's about 2.5-ish, somewhere around there.
2.5 hours,
but they try to cram so much in there, and it just doesn't flow. Like, there's no flow from the beginning to the end. I did like how they start that one, though, but I'll talk about that when we review.
When we review
that
3
in a couple next Thursday.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than the storytelling, for one, I love Liam Neeson. I love his performance. Mm-hmm. He does so good, even when he's talking about midichlorians, which a lot of people.
Think you're a Jedi waving a hand around like that?
I love that scene. It's so good. It's hilarious too.
Will do fine.
No, they won't. Even though, like, there's the midichlorian stuff that a lot of people don't like because it's trying to give, like, a scientific...
Sci-fi explanation for
Star
Trek explanation to Star Wars, to the Force.
I don't mind it too much.
I never mind it that much either compared to other people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's so... It doesn't take the Force out of it at all. It doesn't diminish the Force at all. It just kind of explains a little bit more of how it works. So it's almost like saying science versus God. Why not both?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
why can't it be both?
That's how God did it, is science.
And the same thing with like magic and science. Like, it doesn't I guess we can go back to the God thing. God and science, a miracle is just science we don't understand. Like,
remember, yeah, exactly. Remember Thor? It's like on your world, you separate science and magic, but in my world it's one and the same. So it's like
it's the same thing.
It's the same explanation.
And I think that's what they were trying
explaining
to do.
It to Padme.
And I think that's what they were trying to do in Star Wars. And I don't mind it that much, to be honest. I don't necessarily think I like it a lot. I don't really. I could go either way. That's what I'm trying to say. I can go either way on that. And so some of the lines, like a lot of people say, like the dialogue in these movies is kind of cheesy. Which it doesn't get really cheesy until episode 2, to be honest.
I'll try spinning. That's a good trick. Wow!
That's just fun. That's just fun. It doesn't get super cheesy and like creepy until the second one.
Yeah.
Where he's like, it's so coarse and rough and it gets everywhere. What? Ew, that's so weird. But so it's the storytelling, the acting, the actors. I guess I can go along with acting. But also, the elements that bug people the most don't really bug me. If you think about Jar Jar, which he's my least favorite part of Phantom Menace, he is not a prominent character in every single scene that he's in.
But he has his purpose. Without Jar Jar, they wouldn't have been hooked up with the Gungans at the end, and they wouldn't have had a victory like they did.
He helps move the plot along.
He literally has more purpose than Finn. I said it.
He does have more purpose than
Isn't
Finn.
that sad?
Well, Finn's my least favorite character in episode 7.
Sorry, John Boyega.
I don't mind your acting in other movies.
Sorry, I butchered your name.
Boyega.
Boyega, yeah.
Yeah. I love his acting in other movies, but in this one, and it might just be because he was so excited to be on Star Wars and be in Star Wars, but he was just like so dramatic about everything. And,
right!
And it's like, dude, like, there's nothing that you can scream right now that'll stop what's happening.
No, that'll make her come back.
Like, it's just like,
if anything, your screaming will get you killed.
Yeah, seriously.
Right!
It just...
get shot.
It just... I hope...
Or Kylo would hear you and
choke you,
crush you into a ball and throw you into the ocean. Or something.
I hope
he does... Or throw you at Poe Dameron's X-Wing.
I hope he does a lot better in episode 8. Like, I hope in The Last Jedi... I don't really know how much he's going to be in it, but I hope he does better. I hope he's done his...
I think in The Last Jedi, he's just going to be in the coma the whole movie. And then at the end of and then you don't even know what happened to him. It's like, what happened? At the end of the credits, Star Wars' first post-credit scene, he wakes up, and then
Captain Phasma shows up. Well, it's Captain Phasma thing.
Just kidding.
In the trailer,
I know we've seen him do more stuff in the trailer, but that would be funny if he was just in the coma the whole movie.
Yeah. So there are some good aspects for Episode 1 that I think makes it the best of the prequels. And I hate to say it's better than Episode 3 because Episode 3 is my second favorite for other reasons. It's very dramatic, but it's so good. And the storytelling, and even if you take out the Star Wars aspect of it and just make Jar Jar human, make everybody human, put it on Earth, that storytelling is what would make a good movie that's not a Star Wars movie.
It could be modern, and it can be in the past. It would have to be set, if it was going to be modern, it'd have to be set in a country where there's still slavery. That would be interesting, like Africa or something, or like just other places in the world that still have that kind of, or Burma or something where they still have slaves. And good idea, cool.
See,
if we do, yeah. If you take, it's like Shakespeare. You take a lot of his films, a lot of movies are based off Shakespeare plays, and then they modernize them, or the Bible story. So it's like you can do that with Star Wars.
You can, and the core story of it is so much better than I think a lot of people just don't see how good the story is and how good the storytelling is. Like George Lucas tells a good story, especially in this one.
The pod race was awesome.
Yeah.
Pod race scene was...
I don't like... Well, that's not true. I do like car racing scenes, but a car racing scene is usually a car racing scene. Like, in almost every single movie, the car racing scene is, like, the same. And in this, it was a pod racing scene, and it was not like a car racing scene. There was different angles. There was different things, different elements.
Race to freedom, you know?
Yeah.
There was a big purpose. It was... George was inspired by Ben-Hur. And as you can tell, like the horse-drawn carriage, tons of horses each side, each jet engine, you know. So it's just like that story. Yeah. Well, the CGI and the effects for that race is still awesome today.
The CGI and the effects, they are timeless in this movie. Mm-hmm. They really are. The least timeless CGI would maybe be probably Jar Jar, just because he is an anime, like he was a CGI character, but when they went in and redid it, they made him look so good. Mm-hmm. Oh wow, he looked really good. Like, and Yoda looked good too, since they changed him from a puppet. This is the last movie that they made where Yoda was a puppet when they actually filmed it. So
how feel you? I remember that.
Yeah, when they now changed that with the CGI Yoda to make him kind of be more consistent, but still, that's pretty cool.
Miss your mother, you do.
What does that got to do with anything?
Sassy boy. You can tell that he was like kind of annoyed by Anakin in Phantom Menace.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I have a question for everyone. My question is, since Phantom Menace has the second best lightsaber battle to me, and to Kyle as well, what is your favorite lightsaber battle out of all 7 Star Wars films? I guess you can include Rogue One. No, he doesn't fight anybody. Okay, just out of all the 7 films, yeah.
Yeah, you can't include Rogue One into that.
Yeah, of all 7 films so far, what is your favorite?
That was like a Jack Sparrow smile. That was hilarious. Let us know in the comments below, and if you like this video, make sure to check out our other Star Wars reviews coming soon. Hey, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, and check out some of our other videos. Yes.
Master, destroy us.
Like,
speed run that we only use in one scene of all 7 films. You're right about one thing, Master. The negotiations were short.